And welcome into a Thursday edition of the Backstage Pass. Of course, like I said, we're about to end the week coming up this week and in 2021 with a great show coming up tomorrow, too, as well. A surprise show that I'm not going to mention here at the top, but we'll talk about that toward the end of the show here, too, as well. Always presented by our good friends over at Bangtail Whiskey and, of course, Hank Jr. Productions and our good friends at MitchMax.com. They take care of the merchandise out there, backstage pass merchandise, MitchMax.com, good place to get that Christmas shopping done. I did some today on my way home, so if you want to pick up some of that, you can certainly do that. Brandon Morrill back here with Jeff McMahon in the saddle, as always, and a special treat today. She's got a beautiful single out there. If you're in the holiday mood like I am, well, I guess I'm pretty much always there a week until Christmas. Get that shopping done and turn on some music out there while you're waiting. Merry Christmas, Darling. The duet with Billy Dean as Nashville recording artist and a great singer and songwriter. Carla Williams joins us here on the show. Carla, how are you?
I'm doing so good. Thank you for having me on.
We appreciate you being here and a lot to talk about, a lot of ground to cover. So I'm going to get right at it, too, because beautiful Christmas song. When Jeff told me about it, I said, absolutely, we have to have her. Great vocals, instrumentation. Of course, working with the legend Billy Dean on anything is always a great sentence in itself to put out the project. Talk about this. Of course, reimagined duet of the Carpenters classic and how proud you were to work with Billy and just everybody on this project.
It's been an unbelievable experience for me and having the opportunity to do something for the first time. I think we're pretty certain this was the first time that Merry Christmas, Darling has ever been released as a duet. It was just such a cool thing for us to do. And as other artists were being brought to my attention of who do we want that duet partner to be, and people were kind of throwing names to me left and right, and a mention of Billy Dean's name just sparked my attention because oh my God, I grew up listening to Billy in the 90s, and he was always just one of my absolute favorite artists. He always was. Yeah. And I feel like people like Billy and his artistry and his talent kind of made me be, the artist I am today. So it was just a surreal moment for me to have him on this single with me.
Well, and we've had opportunity to have Billy on the show. Billy was also one of the first people that I met in Nashville when I moved to Nashville back when he was working his first single. So it was fun. Full disclosure, we just met, a few nights ago, actually, because as you're doing this Christmas song, you we're over at with Billy over at the Christmas for Kids celebration, going ahead and jumping in with both feet into sharing the song and getting all of that together. And yeah, and like you said, not only the quality of your voice, but the quality of his voice, and it just worked really, really well together. Were you apprehensive about it at all? How do you go about saying, hey, I want to get Billy Dean? Yeah, I'll do that. Call Billy. How does that happen?
The biggest thing is the rejection of Billy Dean. If him saying, no, I don't want to do that song with you. Yeah. And he was so gracious, and he's been so kind, and he has been such an amazing mentor to me just in the short period of time that I've known him, and just his encouragement and his support and his willingness to put himself out there with, I would say an unknown artist like myself that's embarking into this huge project that I have coming out. And I've done music in the past, and I've done a lot of great things, and I've been signed to a label. But when people of his stature and his caliber really step in and, kind of high five you and kind of pull you along and teach you the ropes of all of it, it's just phenomenal. And, did I have any doubt that Billy and I would sound well together? I really didn't think so. And when I heard it back, it was just more than I could have ever imagined. So it turned out beautifully.
Well, you've got, you talk about Billy, who was, Grammy nominated, but, and I know we'll get into some more of the people on this larger project that's coming, and some of the people that are involved in that. But before we get to that, like you said, you've had a record deal of your own. I remember seeing you perform on Today in Nashville. I don't know what you were doing at the time, as far as, because we look at your website and you're very focused on the current project and not so much that. So what was it that you were initially trying to do, and how does that feed what you're trying to do now?
It's kind of crazy. I started my music career at such a later age than most do. I've been singing since I was 3. So music and singing and was always a part of my life. I sang in college, I sang in high school, and embarking on this at 30 years old, which is crazy. So it's been 14 years. 30 years old was something that was just unheard of. And people like Mike Borchetta that took me under his wing at Lofton Creek Records and just really molded me into just such a great artist. And I kind of give credit where credit's due always. And somebody like him that he knew my first and foremost priority were my children back then. And I went to him and I said, Mike, look, I can't hit the road and travel the world because I have little kids back at home. And he said, nothing I love to hear better. And we just bonded and we made that such a great experience. And then I took a break for a while and jumped back into it, just kind of releasing singles here and there and just kind of getting the swing of things. I've always been involved in charity work. So that stayed consistent with me throughout even my time off, is just, kind of being out and about performing. But when this situation was brought up, and having the opportunity to do what I'm doing now has just been more than I could have ever imagined and have ever dreamed of. It's been bigger. It's gotten a lot bigger than I ever thought it would be, which is incredible. So it's just a dream. It's just a dream, even at my age, which is crazy. It's crazy for me to look and say, you're 44, what are you doing? But, I feel like it's such a testament for so many people. Never give up. Just don't give up on a dream you have, no matter how old you are, because you can do it.
I'm taking that advice all the way to the bank, no doubt about it. So that's good advice right there. Let me ask you about this, because I love this town. I love everything about the South. I've lived here in Texas all my life. And Mobile, Alabama, a native of that. And, of course, just beautiful songstress. You mentioned about performance since the age of 3. What is it about the South, man, that just continues to produce 2 great things, college football and just some kick-ass country singers?
Well, I'm getting a hearty Roll Tide real quick. Shout out to my, so you mentioned football, so I had to say it. I tell you, and we laugh all the time. Mobile, Alabama has produced some amazing artists. So, you think of Jimmy Buffett. I mean, it's incredible, who has actually come out of this area. And I don't know. I think it may be the relaxation of just being on the water and on the coast and the sunshine and the beaches and the salt air, as we all say. It's just a way to relax and just kind of put life in perspective, really. And I feel like it's busy here, but it's not as hustle and bustle as like a big, big city. So it just makes sense.
I love the fact that you said this too in your on the website, and of course different places. If you sing it, you've lived it. And talk about the songwriting and of course the material you've put out before, because a lot of people really kind of feel like that songwriting or things that they sing as an artist comes from that personal experiences. Kind of expand on that a little bit.
It does. I feel like it does. I feel like in order to portray what you're trying to get across to your audience, you have to feel it. You have to have lived it. And that's just something that I have, oh my goodness, I've talked about from day one, whether I write it, whether I sing someone else's music. I remember my first album, just going through hundreds and hundreds of songs, trying to figure out what those special songs were going to be. And as I went through each and every one, and the ones that I chose for that album, I did live it. I had lived personally every single thing that, whether it was happiness or sorrow or heartbreak or, everything in between. I mean, it was just really, it was just a really incredible experience. And I feel like, even on stage, when you sing that, you can just, you just give it 100%, because there's so many other people out there that are going through the same things that you've been through before. And music is healing. It is such a healing place.
It really is, no doubt. I love the fact that you got to be a member of just great organizations that definitely make it for country music. The Country Music Association, Academy of Country Music, Nashville Songwriters Association. Talk about just, what those type of organizations do for artists, and just how much, I guess, it definitely, a privilege to learn so much from organizations such as those.
It is. And it's amazing all the opportunities that they present to artists like myself, whether you get really involved in it or whether you kind of pick and choose what you choose to be in, according to your schedule. But they just give opportunities. The National Songwriters Association just gives opportunities to submit your songs, be in a contest, just things like that to kind of really get out there and portray who you are. And the Country Music Association, what a great part, what a great organization to be a part of, just for so many reasons. Being able to be a part of the awards and voting on those artists every single year that hit the stage, and you watch their work ethic and you watch how hard they perform to get to where they are, and being a part of that voting process is just a pretty cool thing. And being at the show, being at the award show is pretty cool too. So I feel like that they just give artists, even from the top stars to people like me that, this is such a dream for me. They just give everybody an opportunity across the board.
I love that too.
You've had, you were talking about this recording, Merry Christmas, Darling. And, of course there's some very significant reasons as to why you chose this song as opposed to some others, but, you've got the song out, it started getting some legs, and you've already shot the video for it.
Right.
Tell us about the making of the video and kind of what you were trying to say with it. Of course, Billy Dean's in it with you.
Right.
Kind of tell us what that was about. Not your first adventure, but your first adventure with this leg of the journey, right?
Right. It was so funny when we brought this concept to life, and we decided that Billy had graciously agreed to be a part of this project. And the first thing was we need to do a concept video to really kind of get it's the base. It's the basis of the bigger project that's coming out. And what better way to start than with somebody like Billy Dean and his legacy and who he is as an artist, and but not only that, who he is as a person. He's just an incredible human being. And we all kind of laughed on this whole music video thing. I had never shot a music video before. He has before. Meeting somebody for the very first time and being in a music video like that was pretty funny. You try to be in these intimate settings with somebody that's, you got two people that are both married, and it's like, okay, how do we make this, how do you not make this awkward? But he's such a, just such a class act, and it just flowed so freely. And I just feel like you really want to portray, people can listen to a song all day long, but when you actually see it, I'm a visionary. So, when I see that, even looking back, watching mine and Billy's video, it just brings the story to life. It brings the story to life for so many different people. Goodness, you think about all the people that have lost loved ones even over the last couple of years with, COVID or military or things like that. And, and the separation that these people have to go through. And so we just really wanted to just bring that story to a place of, of love and comfort. Hopefully these, whoever out there is needing to hear this can be brought back together.
Well, let's get, like I said, Billy's a friend, and I've had a chance to talk to Billy a little bit, but we've got a little piece about you guys talking about the video and the song a little bit, and then we'll go to talk about this larger project after that. But let's look at that for a second, and then tell us what's coming after, for sure.
Okay.
Well, Billy, to me, you are the heart of country music. Growing up with you in the 90s and listening to your songs on the radio was so instrumental on me becoming an artist. So it's an honor to have you on this single with me.
Thank you, Carla. That's better than any kind of award I've ever gotten, so thank you. My favorite memory of the Carpenters, it would have to be the first time I ever saw them on television, a girl behind the drums and singing so accurately. And then those melodies hooked me from then on. I like pretty music. And so being a teenager, when all my friends were listening to, Kiss and, AC/DC and all this stuff, I was listening to, the Carpenters and getting into melody because I was a musician and I appreciated what they did. Do I have a favorite Carpenters song? The first one that comes to mind is, why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? What was that song called? Was it?
Close to You.
Close to You. Mm-hmm. Close to You. Merry Christmas, Darling is iconic. And as far as I know, the first time it's ever been done as a duet was your idea, Carla. And for us to be a part of that, to me, is a little bit of musical history. So thank you for including me on that. And I'm personally so appreciative of you, Carla, for going to this catalog and introducing a whole new generation to this style of music, because it's this music was not just thrown together. This music was very thought out. It was very, very well. It's complex, and as a musician and a writer, you want this new generation, to work that hard on their music today,
and appreciate it.
They really will.
Yeah.
And you're the only person that I know of that I've ever heard that could do this music because of your voice, and I'm just excited that a new generation is going to get to hear this work because of you, I think.
Oh, well, thank you.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
And back here on the show again, Jeff McMahon, Brandon Morrell. Thanks to our sponsors out there, of course, MitchMax.com and our good friends over at Bangtail Whiskey. Back here with the great Carla Williams here. And I think it summed it up right there, Carla. I think what I loved about what Billy's quote was that next generation is going to have something to appreciate from the great work you guys put together. Kind of expound on that a little bit, because that just tells people how great the song is and how great you guys worked, how hard you worked on the project.
Right. And I think that it is so important. And he did hit, that nail on the head. And I've said this with this whole project that we'll talk about in a bit, but, this whole generation and this era of music, like the Carpenters, I feel like got lost for so long. And it as I've said 1,000 times in all these interviews, if you want to know like the epitome of perfection, as close as you can get, it was the Carpenters. Richard was such a perfectionist, and those melodies and Karen's voice, and it just gives me chills talking about it because it's so incredible. And, but I do, I know I have children from the ages of 20 down to 11, and my 11-year-old knows now every word to the Carpenters, songs that are on my album. And I love it, and they love it. And even my college girls love it, and, just things like that. So I feel like bringing this type of just what this music is about, not that music today is bad, but I feel like that, that generation of music just needs to be brought back to life.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the thing is, the Carpenters, I have a niece that, she's grown now, but when she was a child, I very much was trying to introduce her to other music. She didn't have to like it, but she had to know that it existed. She had to know about the Beach Boys. She had to know about Elvis. She had to know about the Carpenters. And, the thing that's so funny about the Carpenters, and I know that you know what I'm talking about, because I saw something, I can't remember what I saw, but you know what I'm talking about. The Carpenters, their music was kind of like the music that everybody likes, but they don't want to admit that they like it. and they know it, but they don't want to admit that they know it. When I was a kid, I had a lot of those 45s. They were on pop radio at the time. Right. But even, there's one of those movies, one of those Chris Farley movies, where he and David Spade are listening to the radio, and one of their songs comes on, and they both try to outcool the other. And the next thing you know, they're both singing the song. Right. It's just so great to see the opportunity for some of that to circle back around.
I agree. And I take it, from like my oldest daughter, she's 20, she's a junior at Alabama, and she loves music. But she was the one that kind of got into going to these different movies, and kind of like Yesterday, and then loving the Beatles, or going to seeing Bohemian Rhapsody, and, things like that, or, and becoming an Elton John fan, or a Beatles fan, or a Queen fan. And I feel like, because it was just that awareness that was brought back, whether it was on the big screen or whether it was on the radio or whatever it was. And it's important. And I just feel like that the Carpenters had such good music, and it's funny that you say people don't want to admit it. The crazy thing that I've realized in this whole process is everybody knows the music, but they have no clue that the Carpenters sang it. And so when you say, oh, well, have you ever heard of We've Only Just Begun, or Rainy Days and Mondays, or Merry Christmas, Darling, or whatever the song is, well, the Carpenters sang that. And they're like, what? I had no idea. So it's amazing to me that everybody seems to know the music. They just don't know the brilliant artist behind it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So I want to talk about this larger project. But but I want you to tell the story. I mean, I'm kind of a music geek. I don't, you know, and I have known this name for, you know, since I was in school. Before we get to talk about all the people that are on this project, talk about Michael O'Mardian and what role he played in this thing for you, because Michael O'Mardian, for the audience, you know, they don't know his name, but they know his fingerprints. He worked with Rod Stewart, Donna Summer, Christopher Cross, numerous Grammy nominations, all of that. They have no idea how much of his stuff he's seen. And he played a part in this for you, right?
He did. Big part. Big part. When I started my music career about 14 years ago, like I said, my very first producer said, you know, has anybody ever told you that you sound like Karen Carpenter? And I, you know, really didn't think much of it. I remembered listening to the Carpenters when I was a little girl because my parents always loved them. Really didn't pay much attention to it. Really didn't understand the significance behind that comment. You fast forward to, goodness, 2.5 years ago now, and I decided to put out a couple of singles, and my producer, Tom Hemby, went on the Channel 4, we were on the morning show, and we were doing, you know, a couple of songs on there, and he was kind of going into, he had gotten the band together, and he said, well, let me introduce you to everybody, and we're going around, and I'm introducing, thanking everybody for being there, and, you know, because I had not met really any of them. And we get to the keys, and he says, this is Michael O'Mardian. Name didn't mean anything to me at the time, didn't think anything of it, and as I, you know, we went about the studio that morning, the TV studio, one of the producers walked up to me and said, oh my God, is it Michael O'Mardian? And I said, well, that's what they say, you know, still didn't think anything of it. Well, my curiosity got to me. So I started looking Michael O'Mardian up, and kind of like what you were saying, you don't realize who he is and the impact he's made on this music world. And I was blown away that I was standing in front of this guy playing for me. And it was that day in the studio that Michael O'Mardian said, for the second producer I'd worked with, he said, I got a question for you. And I said, what's that? And he said, has anybody ever told you that you sound like Karen Carpenter? And I just started laughing. And I said, you know what? As a matter of fact, I heard this about 14 years ago. And I said, I didn't really think anything of it. And he says, I know, Carla, we met just a few minutes ago. And he says, and I'm just hearing you sing, honestly, for the very first time. He said, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't do something with this, you're crazy, because no one's ever done it. No one's ever been able to do it. He says, I worked with Karen and Richard, and I'm just telling you, this is something that you should think about. And then that's where the conversation started. And really from that day on, it exploded into something I never in my wildest dreams could have ever imagined.
Right. Well, and O'Mardian worked with everything. I mean, he's worked with Reba here in Nashville. Amy Grant, huge Amy Grant records, and Peter Cetera, who people would know as the lead singer for Chicago, and nominated for an Academy Award for the Karate Kid 2, which I guess people probably wouldn't even think of Karate Kid 2 being nominated for an Academy Award, but the song was his, you know, the song that he was a part of. So, well, tell us where has that led now?
Oh my gosh. You know, it started out of, okay, what do we do with this? And of course, kind of go back to our conversation earlier, is what are these songs going to be? We decided to do it. What are these songs going to be? We started out, okay, this is going to be a 10-side, you know, record. And, you know, so let's pick the 10 best. So you go through all their #1 hits, and it's like, oh my God, how in the world do you even choose? You know, because
to clarify, you're talking about coming out after the Christmas record. You're talking about another full record that's coming out at the first of the year.
Yes,
right.
Yes. So so I have a full Karen Carpenter tribute album coming out in January. And so that's when we started the process with this. Actually, Merry Christmas, Darling is actually on the album as a solo of mine. I actually did it by myself then before we realized, oh, we should do this as a duet. So mine and Billy's song will be a bonus track for this project. So this has been the most incredible experience of my life. There's so much, like from a 30,000 foot view, it's been we started the process, we decided on the songs, we went from 10 songs, I couldn't stop. We ended up with a 15-side, you know, album, and it is just incredible from, you know, recording in Miami to Michael O'Marty and take, we all went to Abbey Road in London, and Michael, we all call him Omar. So if you hear me say Omar, that's Michael O'Marty. He arranged the strings with the London strings on 4 of the songs. That is nothing like you've ever heard in your life. It is the most unbelievable thing. And standing at Abbey Road in Studio 2 where the Beatles recorded, and it was the most humbling experience of my life. I can't even describe it. So we were able to do things like that. Then we started to, talk about, okay, well, let's bring some big names on. There's so many Carpenters fans out there. Let's see who was ready, who's willing to endorse this project. Let's see if that's even a possibility. And I was like, oh guys, nobody's going to do anything with this. Nobody's going to take this serious. This is just, doing it for me, and let's just do it and get it over with. And then the ball started rolling, and people were jumping on board and becoming a part of this project. One of the very first people that became a part of this project was Sir Cliff Richard. And I, be honest, and I've told him this myself, when I first heard Cliff Richard's name, I had no idea who he was until you look him up. And he is considered the most successful British pop artist of all time. He's 81 this year. He is still as successful. Sold more than 300 million records in his career. And he's like, I'm a Carpenters fan. Let's do it. And I'm thinking, in the world, this British pop star that could be doing 50 other, 1,000 things. And it's like, he lives on Barbados. What does he want to come to the U.S. to do this with me? And he did. And he did it so humbly and graciously. And I don't think I've ever met anyone so kind in my life. Cliff and I met in Miami at Criteria Studios, and we recorded a duet together on the album. And then we have, honestly, I think I can say this out loud. I'm not real sure. I think I can, but we have decided that song will be the first single released for this album.
Wow.
It's pretty incredible, and Cliff's very excited about it. And then you fast forward, we started thinking about other people. I am honored and humbled that Steve Lukather of Toto has an unbelievable guitar solo on one of the songs. And then I've got 2 former lead singers of Chicago, Jeff Coffey and Bill Champlin, that just very willingly jumped on board with 2 other songs. And then you throw Billy in the mix, and it's just like, my God, how in the world? I mean, it has just been the most unbelievable experience of my life. And here we are. The album's finished. I got a vinyl delivered yesterday. It is absolutely beautiful from London. And so we're excited. We're so excited.
And you get, you talked about Steve Lukather. I mean, well, first of all, to be clear, did Michael O'Marty produce the entire record?
He was not actually the producer per se on it. He arranged all the strings. He was so much in the background part of that. Tom Henry produced the album. And Tom's phenomenal. Tom has worked with every one of those guys that you talked about. At Omar, because they worked so closely side by side on so many projects. And but Omar was he was so instrumental of just arranging all the strings and on multiple things, and just such an intricate part of this whole project.
Well, and what I was going to say is, you talk about Steve Lukather, and certainly everyone would know the Toto stuff that he did, but I can imagine where you are when you're sitting there thinking about working on this album of Carpenters material. And it's like, what about the guy that played guitar on Thriller? Can we get him? That makes sense, right?
Right. Right. Exactly. That's right.
Well, Jeff Coffey actually is a friend of the show, and he sang with Chicago for a long time. He's got, a lot of his own projects. And I actually had a chance to ask him about, I didn't know what he sang on the record, but I knew he was supposed to be on the record. So I reached out to him, and he wanted to chime in.
Oh my God.
Hi, Jeff Coffey here. Just wanted to say how honored and humbled I am to be a part of this record. So big thank you to Carla Williams, Tom Hemby, and Michael O'Marty for asking me to come and sing background harmonies on one of my all-time favorite Carpenter songs, Close to You. If you're a fan of the Carpenters' music and a fan of Karen Carpenter's voice, You are going to love this record because Carla Williams does an impeccable job on this great catalog of songs. So thank you again, and I hope you all enjoy the music.
Oh my goodness. How wonderful is that?
He is a fan.
Oh, I am so honored that he's on it. That's incredible. I love it.
Because
Incredible.
Yeah, go, Brandon.
No, I'm just going to say this and piggyback off of Jeff real quick. Carla, when I got to interview Jeff when I first started this show, 2019, and of course we stayed in touch and kept. I was like, I'm not going to use the other terms that you use, but I'm just like was honored, humbled, kind of like you were. Like, that's Jeff Coffey. I mean, that's just like,
right.
Wow. And you never think, doing a program like this, you meet people like a Jeff McMahon and a Jeff Coffey, and you start going, this is crazy. But I commend you on this. I do want to throw this out there. The release date for the entire project is January 2022. We mentioned the producers on it, award-winning producers, Tom Hemby, 4-time Dove Award winner, and Mark Hornsby. It's going to be available in vinyl and across all streaming platforms, wherever you download or stream music out there. So I did want to put that for the audience, but just glad Jeff got to chime in, no doubt. So
me too. That's fantastic. That was great. That was great.
Hey, I wanted to ask you about this because anytime I go to Los Angeles, I always have a good time out there. Los Angeles, San Diego, love California. A little pricey out there, but I make do with what I've got. You got some recognition out there, the Female Vocalist of the Year at the New Music Awards in LA. Talk about what it was like to take home that hardware. I wanted to bring that up, no doubt.
Well, it was such an honor. Honestly, it was, again, one of those, another surreal moment in my life. I had just signed with Lofton Creek Records. And the crazy thing is I kind of did it backwards. I recorded an album because honestly, it was just, it was kind of like a bucket list thing for me. I just want to record it. I was not out to really do anything with it. And it was just something I wanted to do. I just wanted to record an album. I did. Had the time of my life, 2 legendary producers on that album. And again, another thing of, oh my goodness, how in the world did this happen? And that kind of folded. And then Lofton Creek Records comes along and they heard the album and said, we really want to take this on. And they did. And then they are the ones that put me up for the New Music Awards. And I mean, again, I still, all these years later, I'm still like, how in the world, what did, that it was quite the honor, such an honor of my life. So absolutely.
I love that. Hey, tell me about this, and we'll take a quick break here in just a second. I love the fact that you had this said many times, medicine heals the body, music heals the soul. Tell me about you being the COO of this Innovative Medicine Partners and a co-patent holder, inventor of the novel medical technology and audio. Kind of shed the light on this because I really believe in that particular quote and statement there, no doubt. Tell me more about this. Right.
And it's been such a cool thing for me to kind of be a part of something I had never been a part of. As far as the medical world is concerned, I had been, I had run, big companies before. My family had a large company. And so being kind of like the background person in that, but stepping into this clinical side, my husband is a clinical research scientist. And so he started this company, and I've been able to be a part of that. And so we take the concept of physicians and we take what they think about that, could possibly be bigger and better in the medical industry. And we take that through the right processes, the regulatory, through the FDA process to put that on the shelf and to better the world. And that's what we're trying to do, is change the world of medicine. And so being a part of that and being a part of healing the body. And then you've got music that heals the soul, and the two worlds are so beautifully, they so beautifully collide. People don't think about that. Mm-hmm. I was very fortunate to be able to help perfect and with my college background and what I do day in and day out as a novel, unbelievable design of can't really go into it much right now, but into a medical device that really perfected the acoustic world and audio world, which is pretty incredible, that we'll be, hopefully able to share soon.
Awesome stuff there. Well, again, it's a tribute to the Carpenters. It comes out January of 2022. We'll get an exact date. We'll be able to put that on our website there too as well. Fantastic vinyl all across streaming platforms, and 15 full-length Carpenter covers there, and some great notable names involved in that project. So you make sure you want to pick up a copy. And if you is any pre-orders available now, or is it going to be a kind of hard?
We're working on that.
Okay.
We finally, I think we have definitely decided that January the 28th will be the release. We were going to do it a few weeks before that. Richard Carpenter has a couple of things coming out. It's so crazy how all of a sudden, you haven't heard of the Carpenters for years, and all of a sudden it's everywhere. But it's so exciting because Richard, who's just kind of stayed in the background for many years, now has a book coming out and another album coming out, which is pretty cool. So I didn't want to lay right on top of that.
Sure.
So Richard has heard quite a couple of the songs, which was a huge deal for me. I needed his blessing on this. I didn't, his sister was very important to him, and I didn't want him to think that I was, overstepping a boundary that I shouldn't take. And so Richard has heard a couple of these sides in the very beginning. He's not heard the finished product, and I can't wait for him to hear that. But he was excited and said some very positive things, which was unbelievable to me. So we decided to kind of push towards the end of January and get this out.
Looking forward to that too. And I believe, Jeff, we're actually going to put an audio show out coming up tonight or tomorrow with this. We do have an MP3 song too as well that we can actually drop in there. So we're gonna put on a little audio version of our show with Carla Williams. So be on the lookout for that too as well. Right now, we'll take a little quick time out to pay some bills here on the show. Again, it's the Backstage Pass. It's Carla Williams joining us here, and we still got to go through the rapid fire test. So look forward for this to be a series of funny questions where she gets to have a good time. We get to know her more on a personal basis. Don't worry, nothing hard, no SAT questions involved. We'll take a time out for Bangtail Whiskey and Mitch Max, and also thanks to Hank Jr. Productions out there for all they do for the show out there. We'll come right back.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-hosts Kirsty Krause, Jeff McMahon, and Karen Lee Batten as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. Back here on the show again, Brandon Morrill, Jeff McMahon inside the Backstage Pass. And I'll go ahead and just let the floodgates open tomorrow. Very honored to have Rod plus Rose tomorrow, the two names I'm talking about to wrap up the shows for 2021. Rodney Atkins and Rose Falcon are going to join us here tomorrow at 4 o'clock here on the Backstage Pass with yours truly and our good friend Kirsty Krause of the show. So be on the lookout for that coming up tomorrow here at 4 and the Backstage Pass. Jeff, hard to believe we close out 2021 and get back on shows January the 5th. Looks like Carolyn Miller is going to stop by and a whole bunch. Also, Audra McLaughlin is going to stop by. She used to be on The Voice too as well. So be on the lookout for those shows and a great January coming up here on the Backstage Pass. And then the countdown to CRS begins. We'll be there in Nashville February 23rd to 25th, the broadcasting live from the Omni Hotel. Looking forward to that too. All right, Carla, so this is just a series of questions we put out there. Have fun doing it. So no right or wrong answers when it comes down to this, but we get to know you more on a personal basis. Shows you like to stream or kind of binge watch. What have they been lately?
Oh God, Yellowstone. I mean, isn't that the answer for everybody?
Yeah,
right? Isn't that the answer for everybody? I would say that has to be the most addictive show I've ever watched in my entire life. So that's first and foremost. Absolutely.
That's a good one, no doubt. All right, hobbies outside of music. What do you enjoy doing when you're not singing or playing music?
Well, my family, we're big hunters. We love to go to our quail farm and shoot quail. And oh my gosh, we just love being in the outdoors. We love it more than anything. So that's a big thing. And and staying busy with 4 children, they definitely keep us on our toes all the time. So anything that they're involved in definitely becomes a part of all of our lives too. But yeah, definitely, I would say just being in the woods. Being in the woods is where we love to be.
That's where I grew up here in Texas. So I know exactly what you're talking about too, no doubt. All right, if you could be a contestant on any game show and you had your choice, you could just walk into a studio and have fun with it, whether it be whatever it is out there. What would you be a contestant on for any game show?
I think I'm gonna have to say the Wheel of Fortune. I have watched that and love that, and I'm the one that's sitting in front of the TV screaming the answer to the person, that's trying to, figure it out. Yeah, definitely Wheel of Fortune.
All right, she's passing this test with flying colors so far. All right, this will be fun too. Foodie, a lot of people are foodies that come on the show, love to eat, and of course, you can see that I do, no doubt about it. But if you're ordering pizza or your favorite food, let's just say pizza for the sense of the question. Pizza, what toppings go on it? And it's just for you. Nobody else can have a slice. Just for Carla Williams.
Just for me, it's going to be veggie. It's always been veggie. I took on a pescatarian lifestyle about, oh my gosh, getting on close to a year. Mm-hmm. So I eat nothing but seafood. I don't eat any meat whatsoever. So veggie, 100%.
Oh, veggie, I like that. Okay.
But you have to have pineapples too.
I mean, I've not tried that. So pineapple on pizza. Jeff, when I get to Nashville, we go out with Italian restaurants or wherever the best pizza place is. I'm going to actually try for the first time, and you get to film it. I've always knocked pineapple on pizza.
You have to do it.
I'm going to try it in Nashville.
It's that sweet and savory. I don't know what it is. It's so good. It's so good.
Well, and I have to say, there's nothing I would look more forward to filming than you eating a pineapple pizza. Yeah.
I've never tried it, but I'm going to try it during CR.
I actually have a degree in telecommunications from college, so I can professionally shoot Brandon eating pepperoni.
All right, I've got to see it.
Pineapple on his pizza. So
that's so good.
You call Carla up and we'll just say, look, this is going on the page at this particular day. I've always knocked it. And I'm usually not that kind of person. Like, I won't knock it until I try it. But this was just something where I just never thought it would be that sweet, savory, salty, whatever the meat you put with it combination. I've always been a meat pizza fan. And I've tried other toppings, and I just can't get into, I don't know, just a lot of veg. Like mushrooms, I can't stand them. I don't like them, period. So,
Mr. McMahon, can you tell us exactly what was it that took the Backstage Pass to the next level? Well, ironically, we actually broke out and went viral on TikTok when our host Brandon Morrell allowed me to film him eating pineapple pizza in Tennessee. That really put us on the map, and now here we are at the Grammys. Yeah.
We're going to bring Carla Williams with us too, if we get that TikTok response, no doubt. Let me ask you this one: a drink of choice when you either like to wind up or wind down?
Oh, wind up. Wind down. Yeah, I have two drinks of choice for sure, and it's so funny. I'm not a coffee drinker or anything like that. Mine is an unsweetened tea, extra ice. Everybody knows. It's got to have extra ice in it, and then red wine. It's just, those are life for me. The way I function.
Nothing wrong with that. All right, we'll do this one because I love it. I guess when everything kind of, whatever the normal is going to be, or the norm over the next couple of years, when people can fly back into countries, a lot more safer than the current situation is now. Is there kind of a bucket list vacation that you're like, I want to go here with the family and just enjoy this place on the map? Where would it be?
Well, I can tell you, we're all just kind of chomping at the bit to get back. Our favorite place in the whole world is St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands.
Oh, yes.
It's a special place for my family. That we're just, it became like a family there to us. And we just love everybody at the resort and all of that. Bucket list place I've never been, I want to go to is Greece. I do want to go to Santorini, Greece. That's so I'm hoping that we can get there soon.
Well, it's definitely one of those things, and I can vouch for St. Thomas because I've been there, and man, it was one of the best places I ever got to snorkel on a little excursion from a cruise there. A beautiful time of year. Merry Christmas, Darling, which is out there across all the platforms, came out November 19th, and you can watch the music video on YouTube. Of course, the duet with Billy Dean, and of course, the tribute to the Carpenters, the upcoming project, January of 2022. Be on the lookout for that, available in vinyl and across all the streaming platforms. And check her out at carlawilliamsmusic.com for more information. Carla, we appreciate all the time. Happy holidays to you and your family. And just thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun. Thank you.
Always.
Thank you.
Looking forward to cross paths in the future, no doubt again. And you should be happy with all the great success out there you've had, and much more coming in 2022. Of course, thanks to all the sponsors out there. Tomorrow, big show. Wrap up 2021. The great Rodney Atkins and his wife, Rose Falcon, join us here on the program. Rod plus Rose. Boy, that's going to be a great show. Myself and Kirsty Krause talking about a great Christmas song, Mary Had a Little Lamb. and a whole lot more. Well, I guess we'll talk about all the other big hits too. Don't worry about that too. So a lot of the things that they've been successful there. And of course, resume shows January 5th, 2022. We'll see you guys tomorrow with Rodney Atkins and Rose Falcon here on the Backstage Pass. Until then, have a great night. We'll see you soon.